We see a girl running in the empty bush at the beginning of the movie. She felt scared, like someone was after her. All of a sudden, we hear the sound of guns shooting. They shoot at the girl, and she falls into the woods. After this, the scene cuts to a story about this girl's past. Julie is the name of this girl, and she is also the main character of this movie. 2 months ago, this is when Julie was pulled over for driving the wrong car on the road. David was the police officer, and he liked how pretty Julie was. They don't punish him. Instead, they tell him not to do that again and leave. We could see that he was making fun of Julie at this point. Anyway, Julie is now going to her hotel, where she used to work part-time as a room service worker. People here really liked Julie because she was so nice. Julie gives the usual guest a $50 tip because she liked him a lot. Julie was liked by everyone at this hotel, even the cook. He also asks Julie to go on a date with him today. Julie tells him she's not interested because she was interested in someone else. In fact, David's personality today really interested her. David came to this hotel at the same time as these talks. From what they talked about, we learnt that David had just arrived in the city. He agrees to Julie's offer to show him around the city after hearing this. They meet at a hotel in the evening, and David gives Julie a music box. The chef was also in the bar, and he kept looking at Julie the whole time, which David had also seen. As he leaves the bar, he asks Julie, "Who was that? Why did he look at you so closely? You used to be interested in him, right?" Hearing this, Julie makes it clear, "We don't have anything like that going on between us. It's just my group of friends. Also, why did he look at me that way? This is something I don't know." After being talked to like this, David felt awkward too and said, "All of this was asked because I feel a little naked. Prior to this, I was with someone, but she cheated on me. And now, I don't want this relationship to fall apart. This goes on for a few days. They keep running into each other." And finally, Julie chooses to tell her mom about David one day. That's why she wants to have dinner with him. Julie's mom liked how friendly and outgoing David was as well. David also asks Julie's mom if he can go somewhere outside of the city one day. A family house was in a very nice small town outside of the city. David and Julie talk about their youth in this video. Picture of their past is also something they look at. David also tells Julie that his parents died when he was a child. After that, the sheriff took him in. He starts to talk about his old relationship that ended while he is talking about this. He felt very sad after all of this. But then Julie made him feel better by being nice. Anyway, they're now home. The day goes by. David then went to Julie's house and sat down without making a sound. She was scared when Julie got home and saw him. She didn't ask many questions here, though. David meant business, though. David told her not to talk to her cook. "I don't like what he wants to do." When Julie hears this, she laughs and says, "Oh no, don't worry. You already have too much on your mind." David doesn't say anything else after hearing this. The next day, we see that Julie was called to Suzanne's house by his friend. She had to go to the party while her daughter was home alone. Since Julie was having fun with that girl, she didn't notice how much time had passed. The door was locked all of a sudden. Julie checked to see if David was there. Who gets mad at her out of the blue? He tells her, "I've been calling you for a long time. Why didn't you answer the phone? Are you aware of how scared I was? Now come with me. Next time, don't leave without telling me." Julie thought it was very strange how he moved. Julie's friend came over now. David didn't say anything when he saw this. Julie's friend knew everything too. Now, both Julie and her friends were shocked by what David did. The following day, they talked on the phone. If Julie's choice to be with this person was the wrong one. That's when David brings Julie roses to her house. She changes her mind. Julie hears a strange sound coming from her room at this point. David's music box was in the middle of her bed when she got back to the room. There was also a letter in front of it. Julie read the message and saw that David was written in the backyard. When she heard this, she got scared and ran to the garden to find David. Julie was upset that David always showed up without telling her. Even before Julie says anything, David starts to say sorry to him. He said sorry in a very strange way. He takes a rose from her and looks at her neck. Also says, "I'm sorry." After that, "What do you want? Let's go, please. Today, let's go on a date." Julie was scared more than an offer. That's why she was scared and went to her house, where her mom was, too. She tells her mom everything. David put a rake around her neck and asked her to go on a date. When her mom hears this, she too gets scared. Also, David's uncle chooses to talk to Sheriff. The next scene shows that Sheriff had called David to his office. He asked David, "What do you hear?" "You went to a girl's house without her permission and held a rake over her head." David said, "No, Uncle. I went to talk to my girlfriend about it. She tells you things that aren't quite true." Having said this, he leaves. We could see his face as he walked out. He was very mad. People who worked with him told him, "I know about Julie's story. Do not stress out too much about her. She doesn't need to be too strong." After that, he knew she liked David too. She wants to live with him. Julie had to pick up her friend's daughter from school after a while. She was a little late getting to school. She went there but couldn't find her friend's daughter anywhere. She was scared when she saw this and began yelling that girl's name very loudly. The girl with David then showed up in front of him. The child's hand was taken away right away by Julie. David was mad at this point. He tells him, "You made a very false report to the police. Why did you have to do all of this?" When Julie hears this, her airs go away. He thought David would hurt him. He and the girl ran to their car out of fear. After that, Sharif also came here, who saw Julie when she was scared and saw David standing behind her too. He thought David must have said something bad about him, or they must have said something bad. That's why he puts David in danger now. "You don't need to go see Julie, you leave her. This is all bad." David was mad about all of this on the inside. He just shouts yes in front of his uncle for now. From there it goes. Jules' whole day was full of stress at this point. The cook felt all of this in his hotel. The cook also asks him outside the hotel after his shift in the evening, "Do you worry about Julie?" Julie doesn't say anything to him this time, though, and goes home. As soon as she got out of her car in the parking lot, David walked up to her out of the blue. In this case, it was clear that he was watching Julie. He also saw Julie with the cook. He tells Julie she needs to get out of the car. Julie knew that, though, so she got out of the car. David would then say something. Being scared, she turned on the car and drove home. She told her mom all of this when she got home. David was behind her like that. After following her, she jumped out in front of the car and made threats. When her mom heard this, she too got scared. She also began to worry that her daughter's life was in danger. She tells David's uncle about this right away. Sheriff is also looking into this. He learns, though, that David spent the whole night with a co-worker. He didn't even go near Julie's hotel while he was on duty. This is when he started to feel. He learns a lot from Julie. Now, we also thought that maybe she does care about Julie, because Julie was scared of David a lot. That's why she wore David. In the middle of the night, during the day, and at night. She used to think David would show up at any time. He would hurt her too. However, she always thought this was real. But one day, it began to happen for real. Julie first got a letter from her college that her application was canceled because she asked them to. She hadn't sent any mail to cancel the application, though. She really wanted to go to that college and study. She tries again to send in the application, but finds out that she can't send in the application again after it was canceled. She is now free of this trouble. That many emails were sent to her in her name. She was scared when she saw this. Julie didn't care about any of this when she went to work. She saw that the people hadn't been very nice to her today. Someone had told people in the city bad things about Julie, she learned. Julie has bad habits because of how much she drinks, even though these were all lies. At the same time, David's co-workers also show up at Julie's hotel. Who told Julie that your relationship with David wasn't good? He always cries for you when he comes to me at night. Julie felt terrible when she heard this. He was having that bad of luck, but David was still getting help. The cook heard everything too. The cook knew Julie very well. He tells her as he leaves the room, "Someone seems to be after you. My car has a gun in it. It's always with you." He then gave Julie a hug. Julie began to cry as soon as he hugged her. She also told the cook everything she was afraid of. Julie didn't want David to hurt her. It was no longer her wish to live with David. She decided to find out the truth about David after she said that. She went to the house of a friend. She learned the address of the house where David's ex-girlfriend lives. She then goes to see him. The girl was scared as soon as she heard David's name. She wasn't even ready to knock on the door. That helped Julie see that this girl was wrong. David was wrong. The way David showed Julie a bad picture of this girl. Julie was now going home. All of a sudden, someone began to follow her. When Julie learned about it, that's when the truck hit her car. The first person from the front, then hit her from the side in this way, that Julie's car drove off into the forest, and an accident took place from a tree. It turned out that David was the only one who was going to fault Julie for her accident. Who gets Julie out of her car and makes threats against her? He came with a bottle of spirits, which he used to fill the whole car with spirits, so that everyone thinks Julie is the one who drinks alcohol. This accident took place because she was drunk. David had also told Julie that she was mad here, since she went to see David's ex-girlfriend. David now forces Julie into his car and starts to take her from here. Julie wasn't feeling well. To keep things under control, Julie tells David she's sorry. David doesn't answer. Julie saw two boys on the road on her way, which people looked at her. Julie tried to get him to help her by shaking her heart, but the boys didn't say much back. David stopped the car on the way after a while, got Julie out of the car, and began to ask Julie to marry him here. Julie knew that if she said no, then she might have had a very bad end. That's why she said yes, and acts like she's having a great time with David right now. She pretended to be this person while quietly following David. She wished she could leave this place. David could feel her leaving, though. Julie was already on the other side of the road when she turned around. David pulled out a gun when he saw this, seeing her pull out a gun. When Julie got scared, she ran into the woods. David then went after her. We saw this scene at the beginning of the movie. David started shooting shots while he was running, which meant that two of the shots hit Julie. She passed out there. David went to her when he saw this, checked, and kicked her. The fact that she is not alert. When he sees her passed out, after that, he leaves. Not by helping her. Her face didn't show any fear either. At first, it looked like Julie had died. She wasn't dead, though. She finally woke up after some time. She bravely tried to get up. She didn't even get up, though. People in the city could see that word of Julie's disappearance had spread all over the city. The car she was driving when she crashed was found near the woods, but no one could find her body. The other people and her mom were very worried about this. In order to look into things, Sharif also called in an outside detective. After hearing the case, David was seen as the most likely person to be guilty. David was the one who knew Julie the best. He told Sharif the same thing, but Sharif thought Julie would tell him lies and make things worse than they were. This way, Sharif is sure about David. After going down, we see Julie again. She was being passed by two hunts. It was her plan to ask them for help. She didn't even have the strength to speak, though. Julie was beginning to miss her mom at this point. She got all of her strength from this place. She opened her eyes. As soon as she opened her eyes. On the other hand, her mom's stress level rose too. She told the officer right away when she got to the police station. "Julie is still alive. Something strong is telling me. Find her, please." Julie's mom also told her. I could hear Julie's voice when I woke up. David heard this too. He went straight to the spot where he shot Julie. He went there and passed out, since Julie wasn't there. But he saw Julie's new blood. That meant Julie is still living. He began to look for Julie, the police officer he met while looking for Julie, who asked David, "Why are you here?" You and your team had to go on a task today, to which David gives an immediate answer. I did need to leave. Then I thought of Julie. I thought about how much Julie likes this spot. That's why I came here to look for her. The police officer said, just in case. I've already talked about this subject. From now on, it's up to me to find Julie. Don't worry, David. David felt for the first time this time that he will soon be caught. We see both of the kids in the police station on the other side, the kids that Julie had helped. They were scared at first, but in the past 2 days, since they couldn't find Julie, they were really unhappy. They thought this was all because they were ignored. That's why they make their choice. To be honest with the cops, after hearing what they had to say. Sheriff was sure of it. That was the reason Julie went missing. Without a doubt, that is David's hand. He is now looking into this case on his own. And when to look into David? They visit his home. His house was now locked. In other words, he had left somewhere. But we can see that the inspector had gone to the house of David's ex-girlfriend. Things were getting worse in this case, and because David hasn't been seen, now everyone had a bad feeling about David. The police officer wants to know anything from David's ex-girlfriend, but hearing David's name scared her a lot. To get the police to believe that no one will ever hear his name. She tells him about the cabin David's family has. That was in a little town, as soon as they found the house. The detective tells Julie's mother. That's why Julie's mom also chooses to go with the police officer. We see David after the scene is cut off, who was really in his cabin at that time. Then all of a sudden in his cabin, he hears a strange sound. He saw it there. It was the same music box, which he gave to Julie as a gift. He found out right away that Julie is around here somewhere. He pulled out his gun right away, before he could find Julie. Julie from behind. She hit him hard with a rag and hurt him badly. Julie hid as soon as the wound was healed. David then began to look for her again. Then all of a sudden, David's door was locked. The police chief went outside. He tells David, "You look like my daughter. This is not something I want to do, but I have to put you in jail." As soon as he knew this, David was mad and had a gun in his hand. Goes after the sheriff. That's how the sheriff got hurt and fell there. David got mad and went inside to kill Julie once they find her. One more thing, though. Julie came up from behind in a very smart way and cut his neck with a knife. That kept him from dying. Julie picks up the shooting gun that is lying there out of anger. This is what David tells her. "Everything I did. I'm not embarrassed about it at all. I will do this with you again and again." Julie was very angry when she heard these words. That time she used this gun to kill David. It turned out there was no bullet in it, and with the same anger, she now sticks David in the chest with that gun and kills him. Get hurt. When she left, it was already morning. The police officer and Julie's mom were also there. When something goes wrong, Julie and the policeman are taken to the hospital. They are saved too. David was already gone. In the scene after the credits, we're told that this event really did happen in the year 1995 in the United States with Laura, a girl. It was the exact same thing. This show, too, is made to make you aware that no one should trust without checking first. And just by saying this, this is the end of the movie. Thanks.